Yeah, that is it for Nintendo Switch 2. That is the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4 beta. Now, here's the thing: if you are a casual gamer or avid Call of Duty fan, been playing on any console, but we're gonna be talking about Nintendo Switch 2 and running through the beta campaign. Now, I did not pre-order this game whatsoever. I was just so happened to be on the Nintendo Switch eShop there, or just Nintendo store, and I think they're changing that too, by the way. But nonetheless, yeah, I saw that beta. So, hey, look, if you're ever wanting to try Call of Duty Modern Warfare and see what it's like on the Nintendo Switch 2, and if you have it, go for it. It's worth the play. You figure why not? But we're going to be talking about it and kind of give you some first impressions if it's going to be worth it, what type of gamer that should be, or basically what type of gamer that might like Call of Duty on the Nintendo Switch 2, and especially if it might be your only type of console. But at the same time, if you are a PC or have a Xbox or like a PS5, obviously it's going to be different. But let's just kind of get this out the way. One, it is a beta, yes. We all should know how that runs and what it looks like. It's just, that's beta for you. But at the same time, this is also to being played on the Nintendo Switch 2. And if you know some specs about the Nintendo Switch 2, it actually runs pretty well for a lot of modern games here or fast action pace, at least in my opinion. But we're going to go ahead and show some gameplay up to it as well and kind of get your idea. But hey, if you're here at this point in this video, thank you for sticking through and watching it. Hey, I really appreciate your subs and any kind of engagements you do. I really do appreciate it and kind of sticking with me through this video and the journey of growing a gaming YouTube channel. And yeah, nonetheless, let's go ahead and get right into it, guys. Again, thank you so much. But yeah, let's go ahead and see what this game is all about. Alright, so I just played the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4 campaign beta on the Nintendo Switch 2. And I'm not gonna lie, the second the game started, I could tell there was a major difference. And that is to be expected. Visually, yeah, it definitely looks a little downgraded compared to what I'm used to seeing on PC. But then keep in mind, that is a different type of machine, right? You got PC style versus, Nintendo Switch 2. But here's the thing. Once I've actually started playing the Switch 2, it surprised me. Honestly, it kind of surprised me for what the capability of a Nintendo Switch 2. I'm not saying Nintendo Switch 2 is not a powerful handheld device for what it is, and we should know. You know what I'm saying? But it actually, like I said, it surprised me seeing the overall playthrough of it because I expected Call of Duty on Nintendo hardware to have some problems, and like I said, surprisingly, it didn't. At least not in my opinion, and it for being the beta gameplay. So let's talk about my experience playing the Modern Warfare 4 on the Switch 2, how it compares to a PC, and probably the biggest question, really. Would I actually buy, or would you actually buy Call of Duty on the Switch 2? Well, let's get into it. Now, again, to kind of coming back to it, comparing to a PC, I may not go too far into details in terms of specs and hardware, but because everyone's builds are different when it comes to PC gaming. But it obviously, in a nutshell, to kind of tackle that right off the rip here, it is obviously going to probably and will run a lot smoother and everything else in the works of actually playing Call of Duty, which a lot of us probably already knows. But anyways, enough about that. Let's go ahead and get into the first impressions. Let's start with the obvious ones. The biggest things for a lot of us probably goes into is the graphics. As soon as the campaign started, I noticed a visual difference. And if you're coming from, playing Call of Duty on a PC or one of the more powerful consoles, you're probably going to notice it too. And that is probably obviously to be given. Things that just don't look as quite sharp. You can definitely tell there have been some visual compromises to get the game running on a Switch too. And again, this is all kind of like my personal opinion and all that kind of fun stuff. But at the same time, I kind of expected that, or we should kind of understand that what we're getting into for that on a game like this for the Switch too. I've been playing Call of Duty on the Nintendo Switch for a little bit of brief time here and kind of seeing what it all kind of lays out. I'm not expecting this thing to suddenly turn into my gaming PC or it be right off the rip of actually being such a high-end functioning kind of style game, if that makes sense. But I really wanted to know was how does this actually run, and there wasn't things that got interesting. Things did kind of surprise me. Performance actually surprised me because once I started playing, the campaign was actually pretty good. It ran smooth and didn't have any hiccups, and the playing on the Joy Cons, and then I switched to like one of my regular controllers for the Switch 2. The lag I didn't experience any lags. The response and the sync and audio, all that good stuff, played in. I haven't experienced that, so I wasn't experiencing a bunch of lag whatsoever. I wasn't sitting there waiting for things to load up when I was running through it, progressing or sprinting. I didn't have any audio or getting out of sync during the action, or I didn't feel like it was delayed. And the frame rate felt pretty steady throughout my time of playing the campaign, and that was pretty impressive actually for what it is. And that's, like I said, that's probably the biggest complaint I can give this version right now. Um, would be the whole kind of like graphics and kind of noticing these little things. And I wouldn't really say that's gonna like make or break this type of game to be played onto the Switch too. Because after noticing the graphics at the beginning, I eventually stopped paying attention to them, and I was just started playing Call of Duty, running around, getting into the gunfights, going through the missions, and that's exactly what I wanted, because I'll take a slightly downgraded graphics with stable performance over a game that looks amazing but runs terribly. You know what I mean? If you do have a game, whether it be on a Switch 2 or your any other consoles or your PC, that you think that it would be running great, but it doesn't, let me know in the comments. Especially something like that on the Switch 2. It's just, when I start realizing we're playing on a Switch 2, it ran great and still had fun going through the game itself. But how does it compare to a PC? Like I was mentioning earlier, I'm not gonna get too much into it, but now I'm also a PC gamer, so I'm going to sit here and not tell you that I couldn't tell a difference. Like, I mean, seriously, come on. Of course I could, and I think anybody who's playing PC knows what your rig's like and how it's going to compare, even if you happen to have a Switch 2 and maybe thinking like, oh, maybe I'll get this or try this on a Switch 2, because obviously you can be on the go with it. But yeah, but for me, movement and combat feel more responsive on a PC. Yes, obviously for various reasons, but still coming back to that, I'm gonna tie into that. That still, even then, like I was mentioning, it still felt good. It still felt fine to be playing with the Joy-Con controllers and being able to move and actually have that response as your character, or you're running through it, be able to respond when you actually hit those inputs. So yeah, it felt fine. And with the game like Call of Duty, a lot of us to playing on PCs or whatnot, that response time matters. COD can get fast. We already know, whether you're playing a campaign or Warzone or multiplayer, you already know that how fast this stuff can be. Especially once you start talking about multiplayer and Warzone, you get into that. Those are a little bit of a difference in responses becoming much more noticeable when you're playing completely. Now, first off, again, I have not played the multiplayer beta part of it for Call of Duty on here for the Switch 2, because I'm still waiting for it. I think it comes out on full beta August 28th, 2026. So I'm waiting for that to play. So kind of keep that in mind, or put that in the back burner. But let's get a little bit more into the campaign and overall the game experience. The portion that I got a chance to play was pretty short, so obviously I can't sit here and review that entire base on that. But from what I played, I had fun. It was great. The action was cool. It's Call of Duty, we already know. But there's plenty of action, and the gunplay felt good, and it gave me enough of the campaign that I could really definitely see myself wanting to finish the actual storyline. Because I know it's a lot of us, once we get Call of Duty, we immediately jump in to playing, Warzone or multiplayer. You already know the ropes of that. But honestly, the campaign seemed fun. I like a good storyline in single player games. And honestly, like I said, that is what I want from Call of Duty campaign. And give me some cool action sequences and scenes and all that kind of fun stuff. Give me some good gunfights. Give me a story that makes me want to see what happens next. And let me have some fun for a few hours. From that short amount of time I had with this campaign, and it's just really going to be for anybody who's playing on the campaign for the beta, I wanted to keep playing, and that's a good sign, in my opinion. That's something good to kind of see, okay, cool, this storyline does seem pretty fun to actually continue and actually play all the way through. Let's get into this part here. Would I actually buy, or would you actually consider buying COD on the Switch 2? Now we get to the big question. Would I actually, or would you be willing to buy or look into adding this as a game for your Switch 2? And my answer is, it depends on what kind of COD player you are, because Call of Duty isn't just about campaigns anymore. It's the multiplayer. It's massive, a massive part of the community of games like this. Or for Call of Duty, Warzone is massive part of Call of Duty. We already know, and those modes can be extremely fast paced. Personally, if I'm jumping into a multiplayer and I'm trying to play competitively, or just on it, I try to pretend to play competitively, I probably will still leaning towards more of my PC other than the Switch 2, but because I don't have a PS5 or an Xbox. I want that responsiveness of the power of those of the PC side. I want a better visual experience. You know, honestly, no harm in that. If you want a better visual experience, because you kind of obviously need that when you're playing, multiplayer or online. You got to see those things, right? And if you already own a hardware that gives you those advantages, that's probably where I would say you might best have your overall best experience of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4. It's coming out, but there's the other side of this. If you are a Nintendo Switch to main console, you are that main user, and that's the thing that you have. This might be, the thing to go for, especially if you're trying to dive into Call of Duty. Maybe you're not trying to be the sweatiest Warzone player on the planet. You know who you are. You don't just want to play some Call of Duty and kind of get into it and just kind of be more on the go. Then yeah, definitely in playing the storyline and getting some unlocks and collectibles. Yeah, this is definitely going to be for that casual COD player or just jumping online and you're not trying to have max performance, right? You just want to enjoy a good, good fun game. Then yeah, this is probably going to be it for you. Based on what I've played so far, I don't think the Switch 2 version is bad choice at all. But overall, the big picture, that actually what has me interested in this version, we are now kind of getting more into the modern Call of Duty games for the Nintendo Switch hardware. I think about it that, think about how good, how far along the line, basically, the game has come across and the type of hardware that's being put on. If developers can make games like this run smoothly enough to be on a Switch 2 while keeping the core experience intact, that opens the door for a lot more games coming to the systems. Are there compromises? Absolutely. Are you going to notice them visually? Of course. But if you choose to figure out which game you want to go for, it just all depends on the type of player you want to play. If you're a casual player, just want to get into the Switch 2 version of Call of Duty, then yeah, I think it's a good way to go. I think a lot of Nintendo gamers are going to take that as a deal breaker or not, and just simply go for it and have fun with being on a Switch 2. Even being docked, it still runs pretty smoothly. So the verdict is that overall, so if you are after playing Modern Warfare for a campaign, it's going to be fun. Playing on a Switch 2, I'm sure the multiplayer experience might be a little different to go for, but actually it's going to be super fun. Let me know what you think overall for the game itself. If you're playing the beta, downloading the beta, while you're on PC, console, or Switch 2. Let me know if you are going for this particular game. But yeah, it looks fun. So we'll see. Fingers crossed that it actually, performs really well for the Switch 2. We'll love to see more of it. But again, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Until next time, I'll see each and every one of you around.